Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm really glad to see Devoxx back this year. And I would like to welcome you to this educational journey in 1932, where we will learn how OAuth 2.1 works through real-life example. So let me introduce myself. My name is Julien Topçu, and I will be your guide during this cinematographic experience, made possible by the Shadow Studios, which is in fact a French consultancy company specialized in software craftsmanship and domain-driven design. But the reason why we're here today, it's because at the Grand Budapest Hotel, I'm playing the role of the security manager, and I have selected for you some highlights which illustrate well the main principle of OAuth. I just would like to know if some people there already know OAuth. Yeah, okay. So we will go through how OAuth 2 was made to explain the new stuff from OAuth 2.1. And if you don't know OAuth, don't worry, we will start from the beginning. So as you've seen during the opening, we had one day a fight between two guests. And the reason was that one of the guests found the other squatting his room. And it comes from a frequent problem we have that unfortunately tarnishes the reputation of the palace. To explain why we have that problem, I need first to describe how the hotel is organized. On one side, you have the private space, where you can find all the guest rooms, the Mendel's Bakery, which is really famous, and this is inside the hotel, and you have also the office of Gustave, the concierge, which is the manager of the hotel. On the other side, you have the lobby. This is the public space. This is where we are welcoming all the guests and all the visitors. And to secure the entrance to the private space, Gustave, the manager, has installed a code lock on the single door between those spaces. And he gave that code to all the employees and all the guests of the hotel. Unfortunately, this is the same code for everyone, and it never changed. So sometimes we have guests coming back to town, and they remember that we gave that code to them, and without having any reservations, they just try the code, and they're able to go to the private space and squat the room. So here we have what we call a small problem of revocation, because once we have given the code to a guest, we are no mean to get it back. And you know, we're here in the Grand Budapest Hotel of Wes Anderson. I don't know if some of you have seen the movie, and not in Men in Black, so we cannot just flash the guy when he checks out to forget the password. So the only mean we may have can be just to generate a new code each time someone checks out. But that's not quite convenient because we have 400 guests, and we have people checking out every 30 minutes. So to generate a code every 30 minutes and notify everyone, that's a nightmare. So why I'm talking about that? It's because we have exactly the same problem on the web today. So I took the example of Facebook, because if you know me, You know that I like to hit Facebook a bit regarding security, because you know privacy and so on. And before 2016, you were able to import contacts from your email provider and to convert them as Facebook friends. So you have dark ages email provider there, but let's imagine this is Gmail. So how Facebook was proceeding to import your contact? That was quite easy, in fact, because they used the safest way you may find on the internet. They ask you directly for your email and your email password here. And they say, don't worry, we won't store that password here. Trust us, we are Facebook. And maybe you know that in 2 years later, 2018, they had a little bug where they were logging clear the password of their user in their monitoring system. So, you know, but they won't store it in database. Okay, so here, what is the revocation problem? In fact, when you give your password to Facebook, so let's assume they are not malicious, but they have bugs, like everyone. And you have imported your contact, and you notice that it keeps continuously importing the contact in Facebook, and that's not the behavior you expected. So if you try to make sure that Facebook, let's say, forget your code, you don't have any mean for that. The only mean you will have is to generate a new code. But that's not convenient for you, because you will have to learn a new password for your own Gmail. And if you have other integration working on the same mechanism, for example, LinkedIn importing your contact as well, and you won't keep those integrations, you will have to change the password everywhere. So that's a nightmare, and this is one of the reasons why OAuth has been created, to solve that kind of problem. So to see how we can fix that, let's go back to the hotel. And if you remember the use case, I mean the scenario, we had people fighting, and they were fighting for rooms. Here, we will put some words of vocabulary. So the rooms is the stuff that people try to access, so we will call that the resources. The Grand Budapest Hotel, I mean the company, is the one who owns the rooms, so it will be the resource owner. The hotel is the building, that time, is where physically you will find the resources, I mean the rooms, so it will be the resource server, and the guests are the one trying to access the rooms, so they will be called the clients. So now to fix that revocation problem and that squatters problem, we will now distribute temporary and personalized accesses. So personalized means that each guest will have its own code to open the door. So if we need to revoke someone, it will be quite easy to do that without having any impact on the other. And temporary because we want that code to be no longer usable once the guest has checked out. And we were wondering what can be temporary and unique in case of hotel reservation. And we found out that we can use the booking reference number. So we are in 1932, so if you want to book a room, you just have to call us by phone, and then we will send you a mail, physical mail, containing that booking reference number. And you will be able to use that to open the code lock. So we will call that a code, authorization code. And with that, we have fixed our revocation problem. The authorization code, in that scenario, we can say that it won't be usable after the end of the reservation of the guests automatically. Okay, so we have fixed one of the problems, but unfortunately, there are so many problems in that hotel. Let me introduce you to Dimitri, which is one of the VIPs of the hotel. And one day, he came to Gustav, the manager, and he was complaining about the fact that he has been charged for pastry he never ordered for. So we made some investigation, and we found out that someone embezzled his bathtub. So the bathtub is like his account, if you want. This is where we will charge everything he ordered during his stay, and we will pay just at the checkout. And someone was able to charge without his permission on his bathtub. So it comes from our pastries. As I said, they are really famous and in high demand. And we decided to offer a new service to our guests. Now, when they are roaming around in town, they can just call us and ask for the delivery of a pastry of their choice. And because we are not a food delivery company, we made a partnership with Robert Heath that you may know. So what was the process at that time? So it was quite naive, but it was quite simple. So when Dimitri wanted to place an order, he just had to call Robert on the phone. And then Robert, because they need to charge Dimitri on his bar tab, they asked Dimitri directly to give his account number and his password. And at that time, it was OK for everyone to give the credential to Robert Hitz. Unfortunately, that day, that was a malicious guy on the phone. And that guy just after that called Gustave, the manager of the hotel, claiming he was Dimitri. And he said, I would like to place a huge order. Why not, said Gustave, but I need to check this is you first, Dimitri. And can you give me your account and your password, please? Yes, here they are. And this is how Gustave has been fooled, because he has no means to check that this is Dimitri on the phone, because the credentials are the right one. So here we have an imposter problem. So you have to know that each time you give your password to someone, that person is able to impersonate yourself. And this is really dangerous, because no one will notice. So to fix that problem, OAuth includes something which is really great, because with OAuth, you can stop divulging the password of your user to third-parties application and third parties. To show you how it works, so here we will change a bit the process. And now when Dimitri calls Robert Hitz, he knows that he no longer have to give his password. This is too dangerous. And we also told Robert Hitz to no longer ask for the password of our VIPs. But Robert Hitz doesn't know Dimitri. Maybe this is not someone who has a bar tab at the hotel. So they need to make sure of it. So the only means they have is to work with someone they trust working at the hotel, meaning here, Gustave, the manager. So they just put Dimitri on hold and call Gustave and say, do you know that guy? He claims to be Dimitri. Can you just check that this is him? And he has a bar tab, and just right after, call me back at that number. OK. So they transfer Dimitri to Gustave. They are no longer in the communication, and we have a direct call between Gustave and Dimitri. And at that time, Gustave asks for Dimitri's account number and password. And here, this is fine, because Dimitri trusts Gustave. He knows that he is the manager of the hotel. He knows that he is responsible for the management of all the accounts of the hotel, and if something goes wrong, he will be responsible for it. So it's OK here to give his credential. So Gustave will check that it matches, and if so, he will call back Robert Hitz at the specified number, saying, OK, that's really Dimitri. This is what we call authentication by third party. Here, you have two persons which doesn't know each other, but they need to work together. And to be able to work together, they rely both on someone else, a third party here, which is Gustave. They trust both Gustave, and they use Gustave to be able to work together. So Gustave here plays the role of what we call the authorization server. So Gustave authenticates and protects the end user, which is Dimitri. Why does he protect Dimitri? Just because here, at no time, Robert Hitz had the credential of Dimitri. He stayed on the context of the hotel. It wasn't disclosed, the password of Dimitri. And Robert Hitz had the information they needed, so the confirmation that Dimitri has a bar tab at the hotel. Great. So that's not the end of the story, because after that, we would like to deliver a pass tree to Dimitri. And the pass tree is at Mendels, which is behind that code lock. So it means that Robert Hitz, delivery man, will have to open that door. So in fact, when Gustave calls back Robert Hitz, he also gives the order number, and we will use it as the authorization code, because here, this is unique. It identifies only the order of Dimitri, but it will add a short lifetime expiracy on that order number, because he wants to make sure that the pass tree will be delivered, for example, in 1 hour, After that, maybe Dimitri won't like anymore that pastry. Maybe he has moved on in the city. So it's also one of the, it's a security best practice, let's say, because we don't want people be able to open that door after 1 hour, because we are not sure it's still in the will of the user. So after that, Robert Heath can just call Dimitri, asking him what he would like, a courtesan, which is the name of the pastry, and with the authorization code, the order number, Robert Heath can send a delivery man to open that door and be able to get the pastry. So here, Gustav, one of his roles as an authentication server is to distribute the temporary accesses. So to sum up, here, the bar tab and the pastry was the thing we try to access, so there are the resources. Dimitri is both the resource owner and the end user in that use case. That's not always the same person, but here he owns the resource and he's the one to who we will offer a service here. The hotel is still where you will find the bar tab and the pastry, so it's the resource server, and the order number is the authorization code, like the booking reference number. Gustav is the authorization server, and Robert Heath the client. So maybe that last part is confusing. Why Robert Heath is the client and not Dimitri? Because Dimitri can just take his legs and go to the pastry to order himself physically. But that's not what he wanted. He's lazy, he wants to be delivered. So the end user, he's someone who delegates the handling of his resources to a third party, and that third party is what we call a client. On the other side, the client is client of resources from the resource server on behalf of the end user to offer him a service. So this is basically what Robert Heath does. He wants to get the pastry in the hotel to deliver it to Dimitri on his behalf because he paid for the pastry. Okay, so let's be back to Facebook. Here, what is the problem when you give Facebook your email password? In fact, Facebook, they can send email on your behalf to your contact and you won't notice anything. You know that they need people on the metaverse, so pretty sure they will do that. Come on, come guys, nobody is there. And people will hate you because you spam everyone about the metaverse. Who's that guy? So yes, so here it's really dangerous because Facebook is able to send email as yourself. So let's apply the process you just seen to make sure that Facebook will be able to get your contact without having your password. So let's apply all those stuff. You have to know that in fact it wasn't made in the real life. But we will do that for the exercise. And here I will need your participation. We have several actors there, and the first one is you. You are the one who wants to import your contact from Gmail inside Facebook. So your role is, sorry? Resource owner, that's true, but you're also the end user in that case. You're the one who wants to import the contacts. The contacts are the resources. This is what we try to access. Where are stored the contacts? On Gmail. So Gmail is resource server. Facebook, this is to Facebook that you're asking him to import your contacts, so you delegate it to Facebook. So Facebook is the client. You have to know that in real life, the client is always an application. And Google, why do we have Google there? It's because, in fact, there is no Gmail account. This is a Google account that you can use for Google Drive, Google Docs, and so on. There is a specific website for that, which is account.google.com. So Google here is the authorization server. So if we apply the process, you will ask Facebook to import your contacts. They know now that they must not ask for your password. So the only means they have to make sure that you have a Gmail account is to redirect you on the the Google website. By doing that, it's like asking Google, can you authenticate that guy? Okay, so now you are on the Google website, and Google will show you a login form. And because you are on Google, this is okay to give your Google credential. This is in the context of Google. It's safe. So Google will authenticate you, and if this is okay, it will redirect you back to Facebook. And in that redirection, it will give to Facebook the authorization code. And Facebook will use that authorization code to access your resources. That authorization code is specific to Facebook and has a really short lifetime. So if Facebook tries to access your resources after that, it won't work. If it needs, after that, to access your contact, we will have to do the whole process all over again, and you will have to relog. And here, Facebook never had your password, so that's what we wanted. So you have to know that, in fact, the last part here is a bit more complicated, but we will see that just right after. First, I need to talk about another problem. Let's meet Gary. Gary is one of the accountants of the hotel. He came to Gustav complaining also that some external companies were asking a lot of money from us. They say that they were able to deliver some pastry, which is not normal because we have an exclusive contract with Rubber Hits. How was that possible? With some investigation, we found there were some scammers there. Here you have Just Munch, one of the competitors of Rubber Hits, and they are not happy because they didn't want the contract with us. So what they did, they just called our VIPs, claiming they were Rubber Hits. And that day, it was Dimitri on the phone, so they asked if he would like a pastry. Okay, I was not expecting that you called me, but never mind. Yes, I would like a pastry. And Just Munch know all the process. They know that they need Dimitri to pass that to Gustav to gate the order number. So they just call Gustav, and they will claim also that they are Rubber Hits. And they say, call me back at that number, which is not a Rubber Hit number. So Gustav do the whole authentication process and call back at that number, and he had a Just Munch employee on the phone. He has been fooled again. So we have now to make sure that we reference the clients with their trusted contact addresses. Otherwise, we will be hacked that way. So it means that Gustav will maintain a registry, and for each client, it will list all the trusted number. So if now Just Munch calls Gustav, claiming he's Rubber Hits, with a number we do not know, Gustav will say, okay, I don't know who you are, but you are not Rubber Hits, bye. And now we have fixed that problem. So one of the role of, So first I need to say that the phone number is what we call the redirect URI. And Rubber Hits here is the client ID. So the role of the authorization server is to keep a list of authorized redirect URI in exact match per client ID. Exact match is new. It comes from OAuth 2.1. So you have to make sure that that redirect URI matches for all the characters. Otherwise, if the last digit change, you cannot be sure where you have redirected the user. So that's really important. That's one of the latest recommendations. Okay, so everything happened when Facebook redirects you to Google. If you know how a redirection works, in fact, there is never any communication between Facebook and Google. Facebook sends an order to your browser to redirect you to Google. So it means that once you're on Google, here, for example, Google don't know from where you come, and he won't know where to redirect you. So if you take a look, so why do we have Miro there? It's just because they never did the integration with Facebook, so I made it with Miro, so replace it in your mind with Facebook. It's exactly the same thing. So here, this is the login form on the Google website. If you take a look at the URL, you have accounts.google.com, and Facebook places it as well two important information. because the only mean you have to pass information in the redirection is through the URL. So first it says who we are with the client ID. So that client ID, let's say, is the one from Facebook. So Google knows that this is Facebook that redirects you. Hey, that's Facebook who wants to authenticate you. And then, because you can be on any page of Facebook, it also plays the redirect URL to say to Google where he has to redirect you. This is to optimize the user experience. But the thing is that it's quite easy to find that request. You can see here, just with one screenshot, how it was crafted. So if on my side, let's say I'm a hacker, and I put that exact request on my malicious website, the user will be redirected to Google, and Google will think that he came from Facebook. So it will authenticate the user, issue an authorization code, and redirect the user to my malicious website because I can just change the redirect URI. That's why it's really important to make sure that the redirect URI is registered on the authorization server in exact match. Otherwise, a malicious website can just get the authorization code and be able to fetch your contacts. Okay, so you remember that I said that, in fact, to fetch the contacts, we need more than an authorization code. This is because there is some flaw if we were working just like that. So to explain you that, I need to go back to the hotel. And we had, unfortunately, once again, a squatters problem. But that time, we had two people with exactly the same booking reference number, which is supposed to be not possible. It's here a prying eyes problem. So if you remember, I said that booking reference number, we send it by mail. And there is a problem with mail, so a physical mail. You cannot be sure that the recipient has received your mail, because the letter can be just lost. Or the postman can just deliver the letter in the wrong mailbox. And you cannot be sure as well that no one has intercepted the mail. The postman can just keep for himself the letter. Or he can just read the letter before delivering that in the right mailbox. Here it was worse than that. The guest was just in front of his mailbox, he opened the letter, and at that moment, one of his neighbors was passing by. He just takes a look over his shoulder and sees the booking reference number. Then he just had to go back to the hotel and get the room before our guests. So sending stuff by mail is not really safe. This is what we call a front channel. A front channel is a communication channel where you cannot be sure that your information has been delivered to the right person, and you cannot be sure that no one has intercepted the information. So on a front channel, you cannot send accesses. That's too dangerous. So we will change the way we exchange those accesses, and now we will end delivered the stuff that will permit the guest to open the door. And you will see this is something that you all know in real life when you are checking in a room. So the first thing is that we will remove that code lock, and instead we will use a card lock. So now, when Dimitri wants to check in, he has to go to the receptionist and give his booking reference number. And in exchange of that, what the receptionist will give him? A card. I'm pretty sure that you already experienced that in the real life, right? And so let's say that the receptionist is Gustav. Because he delivers the card physically, he's sure that no one has intercepted the card before Dimitri has it in his hand, And he's quite sure that Dimitri gets the card. So delivering it by hand is something that we call the back channel. This is more safe. And with that card, Dimitri will be able to open the card lock. So the booking reference number is still what we call the authorization code. The authorization code is exchanged in a front channel. I will explain you why after that. And in the exchange of the authorization code, we will issue what we call an access token. When we get an access token from the authorization code, that authorization code is no longer usable. The authorization codes have a short lifetime. So if an access token is not issued from the authorization code before its expiry, you will have to do the whole process all over again with the logging of the user. The access token, also have its own lifetime. It's to avoid the squatters problem, to say that, okay, someone can just reuse that after the time we were expecting. So like I said, this is the back channel. So the access token, we are sure to be delivered to the right person that way. So if we sum up a bit, booking reference number is the authorization code. The authorization code is exchanged on the front channel. Here it was the mail. The front channel is something that you can intercept and you're not sure that the people has received your information. And the card is the access token, which is the real thing that helps you to access the resources. And that card is delivered by hand, meaning a back channel. You're sure that the recipient has received the card. So let's be back to that Facebook and Google use case. It happens when Google redirects you to Facebook. In fact, like I said, there is no communication between Google and Facebook. So when Google sends the order to redirect you to Facebook, if the browser crashes, he won't know. So he cannot be sure that you land into Facebook after that. So that's why we call that a back channel, the redirection. A front channel, because you're not sure if the recipient received the information. Furthermore, since the only way we have to pass information in a redirection is through the URL, this is not quite safe as well, because you can have a malicious plugin inside your browser scanning all the URLs, or just someone taking a look over your shoulder and discover the authorization code. So that's why this is a front channel. But this is the only way we have, unfortunately, because with the redirection stuff that ensure that Facebook will never have your password, this is the only way we have to pass information, unfortunately. So that's why the authorization code is not sufficient to fetch your contacts. So once Facebook retrieves the authorization code from the URL, it can initiate a direct communication with Google, with HTTPS. And with HTTPS, you can be quite sure that the recipient has received your information because this is synchronous. You will notice if Google won't respond to you. And it's quite hard. That's not impossible, but it's quite hard to intercept something in HTTPS. So that's why here we call that the back channel. The back channel can be between backends, or it can be also an AJAX call from a script that comes from the domain of Facebook, which is running inside your browser. That also works. So in that HTTPS connection, Facebook will give its authorization code and its client ID, because authorization code is issued for a specific client ID, and then Google will answer with an access token, ensure that Facebook has received it, because it's synchronous. And with that access token, he will be able to fetch your contact from Gmail. So that flow is what we call the implicit flow. So you have to know that OAuth has been organized with several flows, and it is one of the most used ones, the implicit flow, that was made for web apps. Who works with implicit flow today? Great. You shouldn't. Because there is a big flow in implicit flow. Flow with an A and flow with an O. So there is a big security issue with implicit flow. It is something that now has been fixed with OAuth 2.1. So to explain you why implicit flow is broken, so just remember that I've said the front channel is something that can be intercepted. And the back channel is there to make sure that the people in front of you has received the access token. But unfortunately, what happens if the authorization code has been intercepted? For the rest of the talk, I will need two people who wants to participate. No one? Yes. Another people? Yeah, it will be fun. No, no one. Yes, please. Yes, come. So here we have a bad guy and a good guy. So who wants to be the bad person or the bad person? Okay. So what's your name?
I'm Tav.
Sorry.
Tav, nice to meet you.
Tav. Okay,
Yeah.
so you will be the good guy?
All right,
Okay.
fine with that.
Marika. And you will be the bad person. Yes. So you are Robert Hit, you are Just Munch, okay? So do you have your smartphone with you?
My what?
Smartphone.
Yes.
You have it?
Can I put it down?
Yes, please.
I don't have mine.
Can you get yours? No, on your case, you don't need it. Okay.
Because I steal his
You-
stuff.
You steal his stuff. Yes, absolutely. So, okay. So, if we redo the whole process, so you agree to be recorded, right?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, that was for security reason and for privacy. So, okay, let's do the whole process. So you are Robert Hitz, and you have infiltrated his office.
All right.
So you listen to everything, you see everything. So you have Dimitri on the phone, he wants to place an order, so you call me, because you want me to authenticate Dimitri. And I give you, after that, the order number 42, let's say. Okay? So you heard that. Because maybe he just said it out loud, maybe he just written that on a piece of paper and you have seen that, right? Or maybe when I called back to the number, he was on break because he's lazy, you know? And she just take the telephone and you heard 42. So now if you want to get the pastry, what you will do?
I will.
Can you take the microphone, please?
I will call you and I will say the number is 42.
If you call me, you won't be able to open the door, so you have to come to the hotel. So come to the hotel,
Yes,
okay?
yes.
Okay, so you are in front of me. Bonjour. So, okay, what you would like to do?
I would like to order a pastry, please.
So you need to deliver the pastry, in fact.
Okay,
But
in that case.
okay, but he's the real delivery man. Okay, so I'm asking you the order number. So what is the order number?
42.
Right. So in front of me, I have Marika, and I take the card and I give you the card, so you can open the pastry. Yes, you're welcome, and you can open the door of Mendo's Bakery. Because Marika was able to intercept the authorization code, right? But I just give to Marika in front of me in the back channel the access code, but she's not the right person. So we have to make sure that the initiator of the request is the one who granted the access, to who we have granted the access. So let's do the whole process all over again. And Tav, can you can you just scan that QR code?
I'm gonna need an angle.
Yeah. He doesn't know me. Maybe you have seen one of my talk with a hack in the QR code.
Oh, I have all the data.
Okay. So just can you take the microphone? This is basically what Tav will see. So now when you call me, okay, to authenticate Dimitri, I will ask you two information.
All right.
Be aware of everything because you still need to intercept the order. So can you choose on the left here a hash function?
I'll get a 256.
SHA-256?
Yeah.
Great. So now you will see it's a magic trick. Can you think about a number, but keep it secret? How many digits you can, 4 digits, how many digits you want, but keep it for you. You have the number? So on your phone, you will put that in the input there. Okay?
All right.
Don't choose 42, please.
42.
So basically here, this is a function, and at the bottom, you have the result, which is a hash. So I will ask you to give me the 4-digit of the hash.
Also, hold on. The last 4 digits?
The first one.
The first one's all right. But I'm gonna be secretive about it.
No, this one.
It's
No. you,
wait, the font is way too small.
you have seen the secret number?
No, actually.
So
No,
yeah,
you
so
should
it's
not, you should not.
D11.5.
Come here. So what is the first digit of the hash?
It's a D.
And give me the fourth, the cat probably. So the fourth,
All right, so it's a D11.5.
D11.5, okay.
Yes.
So you give me all those information, and now I say to you, the order number is 42. You heard everything, right?
Of course.
So can you take the microphone? So now you come to the hotel, and I will ask you, what order number are you looking for?
42.
Okay. What was the hashing function you chose?
SHA-256.
Exactly. So, and now can you give me the secret number you were thinking about?
1234.
1, 2, 3, 4. Please. No, it doesn't match. Can you give me another one?
1111.
1, 1, 1, 1. No. So because it doesn't match, I'm sure that you are not the one on the phone. So I can call the security and get out of here.
Where's the security?
So now, the good guy, you come to the hotel. Can you take the microphone? So I will ask you, okay, what was the secret number you were thinking about?
It was 536. Weird, right? Who
5,
thinks that? Yeah.
3, 6. And we have here the 11.5. So I'm sure that it was you on the phone. And thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
You can,
Can we go?
yes, thank you very much.
Who gets the mic though?
Here. So we are sure that, in fact, that was Tav who was on the phone, who initiated the call. Because he thought about a secret number he never disclosed. And the secret number was exchanged on the back channel. So he's sure that it was me and nobody else who get that information. So what we were relying on is an hashing function. An hashing function has a nice property, is that if you take that mathematical function, f of x equals y, this is, let's say, a one-way function. You can have the y from the x, but the inverse is really hard to do. So to find back the x from the y, it's quite impossible. That's still possible, but this is really, really hard. So it means that you can pass the hashing function publicly, it doesn't have any impact. The hashing function regarding OAuth is called the code challenge method. The x, which is the secret random number, is the code verifier, and the y, the hash, is the code challenge. So code challenge and code challenge method can be disclosed that it has no impact. So it means that it can be exchanged on the front channel. And then, to make sure that it was the right person, the code verifier is exchanged on the back channel. You know that when you order something which is really expensive on, let's say, Amazon, sometimes you get a code. And they say that this code, you should not disclose that by phone or by mail. You have to give that physically to the delivery man. The delivery man doesn't know the code. He just has to put that in an application that will say, okay, this is the right person to who you have to give the package. It's exactly the same thing. So it happens when Facebook redirects you to Google. It will give the code challenge, so the hash, and the code challenge method, so the hashing function, in the redirection, so in the front channel. Then after that, when Facebook will initiate the HTTPS connection to Google, he will give the code verifier as well, because this is a back channel. Then Google will check if the code challenge, so the hash, is equal to the code challenge method he has received in the front channel of the code verifier, which is the X here. If it matches, he's sure that it was Facebook that was the initiator of the call and not someone who intercepted the call. And here, Google will issue an access token to Facebook, and Facebook will be able to use it to fetch a contact. This is what we call authorization code flow with PKCE. This is now what replaces the implicit flow and also the standard authorization code in OAuth 2.1. So I strongly recommend you to migrate to that flow. It was not the case yet. So as I said, this is one of the best practices of OAuth 2.1. OK, so we may have some minutes. I would like to speak about scopes. So you have to know that when you issue the access token, for example, to Facebook, Facebook will be able to access your Gmail. But unfortunately, in your Gmail, there's not only your contacts, right? There's also your mail. So even if we just gave the access to Facebook, he can do everything he wants. So we would like to make sure that access is limited to your contacts, and we will use something that is called the scope. So here, in fact, we'll move forward. So now, when you are authenticated with Google, it will ask for your consent. It will ask you to consent that Facebook will have access to your contact. This is something that you may know with some other integration, with GitHub, for example. And if you consent, it will issue an authorization code scoped to the contacts. Then Facebook will exchange it for an access token, and the access token will have only the contact scope. So it means that if Facebook used that access token to get your mail, it won't work, because the scope is limited to the contact and limited to your consent. This is one of the parts as well of OAuth. So you can see that as well on your phone sometimes here. Some application, for example, I was trying to post a picture on Twitter, and the OS, the Android system, detected it and asked me if I'm consenting Twitter to have access to my photo. This is exactly the same thing. But there is some mistakes regarding scope. Sometimes people use scope to limit the access of end user. That's a mistake. It was not made for that. Scope is only for clients. It's only to limit the access of a third-party application to end-user resources. So don't make that mistake. You can put claims, if you know claims, inside the scope, but the real scope of OAuth has not been made to limit the access of end users. So here you have the website of OAuth 2.1. You can see here all the things that was changed. So there is the PKCE support now, the redirect UI in exact match, the drop of the implicit grant and the resource owner password credential. So you should no longer use that, and some other stuff here. So you can reach that website to discover all the new stuff of OAuth 2.1. So why 2.1? This is not a real new version of the protocol. So OAuth is 10 years old, and it has been defined with 80 RFCs, specification. So if you want to know what is the actual state of OAuth, it's a nightmare. You have to read the 80 specification, and some part as decommissioning some other part of the previously RFCs. It was a nightmare. So they have chosen to bring everything in a single specification, which is OAuth 2.1, with all the new recommendation. Because in fact, PKCE comes from the mobile world. So it's not a new version, so you don't have to, if some people there made the migration, the painful migration with OAuth 1 and OAuth 2. That won't be that. And the support of PKCE is usually quite good in the library you already use inside your web apps. So I hope that OAuth is more clear now and you discovered new stuff on OAuth 2.1. I was really happy to be there. Please give me feedback on the application and have a good day.